Tonight's story isn't just another Hollywood issue. It has turned into a complete legal breakdown. And the person right at the center of it is Blake Lively. While she appears polished and flawless on the red carpet, the court records reveal a very different picture. One where she looks less like a victim and more like the one creating the problem. Here's what went on. Two judges, one in New York and one in Texas, just shut down Blake's efforts to continue targeting Justin Baldoni's PIM. Both courts gave the same ruling. They don't have personal jurisdiction. In simple terms, Blake tried to bring people into courts that legally have no authority to hear the case. The judges didn't hesitate. They dismissed everything without even reviewing the actual claims. That's not a minor error. It's a significant strategic misstep. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni remains calm, focused, and professional. He isn't creating noise. He isn't talking to the press nonstop. He isn't accusing everyone in the industry of wrongdoing. He's allowing the legal process to move forward. And so far, the legal process keeps ruling against Blake. And here's the unexpected part. Blake's entire plan depended on pulling these people into courts where she could apply pressure and shape the storyline. Instead, the strategy failed. Not only was Jed Wallace dismissed in New York, but Blake's own filings were rejected in Texas for the same reason. It's like watching someone fall into a situation they created themselves. And this is only the start. Now that both courts have dismissed Blake's actions, things become even more surprising. After reviewing the filings, one thing becomes very clear. Blake wasn't simply trying to defend herself. She was trying to take control. Control of the storyline, control of the legal case, and most importantly, control of the sequel to It Ends With Us. And yes, the documents support this. For months, Wayfarer Studios has argued the same point. Blake's lawsuit wasn't about protection or fairness. It was about influence. Specifically, the influence to take the sequel, It Starts With Us, away from Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer, the people who legally own it. In their filings, Wayfarer explains this directly. Blake wanted the directing role, the creative control, the advantage of owning the IP, and the attention that came with it. And if damaging Baldwin's reputation helped her reach that point, she was willing to do it. But there's a major flaw in Blake's approach. Colleen Hoover, the only person who could have supported Blake's shared interest legal defense, testified under oath that she never intended to sue Wayfarer. Not once. Not at any point. That completely undercuts Blake's privilege claims. It also dismantles her overall strategy. Blake tried to use Hoover's name as justification, and Hoover directly shut that down. Once that information became part of the court record, Blake's entire legal argument fell apart like a flimsy set piece. This is why Blake is now disputing redactions, privilege logs, and procedural details. She's scrambling because the moment the facts are laid out clearly, they all point the same way. Blake didn't simply lose control of the situation. She never had control from the beginning. While Baldwin and Wayfarer have released their files, produced their communications, and supported their statements with actual documentation, Blake Lively has done the opposite. And this is where the situation shifts from chaotic to concerning. Court documents show Blake has fought aggressively to keep certain materials out of view. Instead of handing over original records, she's provided recreated versions. Rather than producing emails, she's invoking privilege. And instead of offering straightforward answers, she's covering everything with heavy redactions and procedural claims. One example is the now discussed 30-point return to set protections document. Blake says it was essential to her safety on set. Yet Wayfarer states she still hasn't turned in a verified original, only altered versions. Even more unusual, some of those versions appear on her privilege log, which means she refuses to hand them over entirely. Then there's her communication with Colleen Hoover. Blake attempted to hide those exchanges under a supposed common interest privilege, arguing she and Hoover were essentially legal partners. But Hoover just testified that she never planned to sue Wayfarer. Not once. Not for anything. So if Hoover had no lawsuit, what shared legal interest was Blake referring to? The answer is straightforward. There wasn't any. And when a witness calmly states the truth under oath while your legal foundation collapses in real time, that's when the urgency begins. That's when the redactions increase. That's when the explanations start multiplying. Because for Blake, the biggest issue isn't Baldwin, it's what the evidence actually indicates about her actions. Blake's legal challenges don't stop with missing materials. In fact, the most serious problem she faces now is something every attorney tries to avoid: evidence that cannot survive in another jurisdiction. After losses in both Texas and New York, Blake's remaining path would normally be California. It sounds simple: file in a new state and attempt a fresh start. But here's the complication. California has some of the strongest digital privacy laws in the country, and the way Blake obtained a major piece of evidence could undermine her entire case the moment she enters that state. This concerns the subpoena for data from Jen Al's phone. Blake secured those records through a New York subpoena, but California law requires employees to be notified before their phone information is accessed. That notice never occurred. So if Blake attempts to bring the case to California, the court could immediately reject all that evidence, or worse, question the method used to obtain it. And that isn't the only risk. Moving the case to California would subject Blake to a more thorough review of her discovery practices, including recreated files, missing originals, and privilege claims that no longer withstand scrutiny. Once California judges see that Hoover never intended to sue, the entire common interest argument falls apart. This is why both sides are at a standstill. Blake can't move forward without risking complete exposure. Jed Wallace won't refile because doing so would pull him into a jurisdiction he's trying to avoid. And Baldoni is just observing as every legal path Blake attempts to take closes immediately. As the courtroom situation continues to decline for Blake, the true motive behind all of this is finally becoming clearer. And it has nothing to do with safety, workplace rights, or justice. Based on multiple filings and internal communications, Blake's real goal centered on something far larger: the sequel to It Ends With Us, titled It Starts With Us. From the start, Wayfarer Studios has argued that Blake's lawsuit was meant to undermine Justin Baldoni, damage the studio's reputation, and push the sequel rights into her hands. It may sound exaggerated, but the documents support the claim. Here's the timeline Blake hoped no one would connect. After the first film ended production, Blake wanted significantly more influence on the next project: creative input, directing authority, and the industry spotlight that came with it. But there was a major obstacle. Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer legally owned the rights. Not Blake, not Ryan Reynolds, not Colleen Hoover. When reports surfaced that Ali allegedly offered millions to buy out Justin, and Justin didn't agree, everything shifted. Suddenly, Blake filed a lawsuit. Suddenly, allegations of misconduct appeared. Suddenly, she suggested Hoover might sue as well. Suddenly, she implied the sequel could be taken from Wayfarer if enough issues were uncovered. But then Colleen Hoover testified under oath that she never planned to sue anyone. She wasn't seeking the rights, she wasn't joining Blake's effort, she intended to stay out of the dispute completely. And with that single statement, Blake's entire plan lost its structure. The sequel wasn't moving away from Wayfarer, it wasn't returning to Hoover, and it certainly wasn't going to Blake. The effort ended before it began. At this point, it's clear Blake didn't just lose a legal battle, she also lost the one thing she was pushing for: the sequel. And here's what industry insiders are quietly acknowledging: the sequel isn't paused or delayed. For Blake, it's effectively finished. The reason is simple: she cannot obtain the rights, she cannot take control,
and she cannot reverse the damage caused. First, Wayfair fully owns It Starts With Us. Colleen Hoover sold those rights long before the book became a major hit. It was a complete sale. No moral clause, no attached conditions, no hidden exceptions. The rights were never coming back to her, and they were never available for Blake to claim. Second, Justin Baldoni's creative decision to remove Ryle from the ending of the first film created a significant issue for Blake. In the novel, Ryle plays a crucial role in the sequel. He drives the conflict and shapes the tension. He is the reason Lily's relationship with Atlas is complicated, but if Ryle is removed from the film, Blake's preferred version of the sequel simply can't exist. She would need to rebuild the entire storyline from the ground up, something she did.
While Blake has been tied up in court, another conflict has been unfolding publicly, and she is losing that one as well, because every filing, every allegation, and every forceful move highlights the same issue. The story she is pushing does not align with the evidence. When you examine the documents, the timelines, and the sworn statements, a pattern becomes clear. Blake introduces a claim, and the evidence undercuts it. She targets someone, and the judge dismisses the argument. She insists more proof is coming, but nothing materializes. Online, people are noticing. Her accusations against Wayfair were rejected. Her attempt to link Jed Wallace to Texas was denied. Her argument about digital records was disproven. Her claim that additional women would step forward never happened. Her statement that Hoover was part of her legal plan was contradicted under oath. Meanwhile, every party Blake accuses, Baldoni, Wayfair, Wallace, keeps producing documents, texts, emails, and records. They are cooperating, she is withholding. They are transparent, she is redacting. They follow court orders, she contests them. This is why Blake is losing public support. Hollywood embraces redemption stories. They admire flawed protagonists and even appreciate misunderstood troublemakers. What they cannot accept is someone who attempts to steer a narrative, pushes too far, and then blames others when it collapses. And Blake isn't just doubling down, she is going further. Each new filing seems designed to shift attention away from the previous one. Each accusation sounds stronger than the evidence backing it. This is no longer a simple PR problem, it is a full-scale reputational breakdown. As Blake's public image declines, her legal strategy has taken an even stranger direction. Instead of addressing the core problems, missing evidence, failed jurisdiction, and Hoover's testimony, Blake is now overwhelming the court with filings targeting everyone around her. Judges, attorneys, and reporters are beginning to notice the pattern. When Blake feels pressure, she does not clarify, she diverts. The latest example is her claim that Jed Wallace and Melissa Nathan are misusing redactions. She accuses them of hiding information, altering documents, and removing anything unflattering. But when the court reviewed the redactions, the results were embarrassing for Blake. The documents she complained about had already been provided in other formats. Some were insignificant, and in several cases, her own filings were far more heavily redacted than theirs. It's a familiar tactic. Shift blame so no one inspects your side too closely. But the judges are looking. They see the missing 30-point agreement. They see the recreated documents. Observers are noticing that Blake's privilege claims collapse the moment Hoover speaks. Inconsistencies are clear. Excuses are mounting, and the timing of Blake's motions, always right before damaging information emerges, has not gone unnoticed. Even court reporters are picking up on this pattern. It's unusual for a celebrity to file so many objections, accusations, and attacks in such a short span of time. It appears frantic, calculated, and above all, like an attempt to suppress the truth before the next round of evidence surfaces. The issue for Blake is straightforward. Distraction only works when attention wanes, and right now, public scrutiny is higher than ever. Here's where the legal scenario takes a dramatic turn. But in this story, Blake isn't in the lead. After months of filings, dismissals, and unsuccessful strategies, Blake and Jed Wallace have trapped themselves in a legal corner neither can escape. The one who gains most from this standoff is Justin Baldoni. The legal records tell the full story. Blake cannot sue Jed in New York, and Jed cannot sue Blake there either. Texas is equally blocked. Filing in California is too risky. Any action in these states would immediately allow the other party to countersue. It's legal quicksand. Any step forward causes one to sink. Blake knows that filing in Texas would trigger Jed's immediate counteraction, dragging her into the courtroom she tried to avoid. Likewise, if Jed files in New York, Blake can reintroduce him into her case. Both have spent months arguing jurisdiction, and having won these arguments, they've effectively trapped each other. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni remains untouched. He's not scrambling, filing desperate motions, or trying to manipulate the system. He simply observes as Blake and Jed undermine each other's ability to act. This stalemate not only weakens Blake's lawsuit, but also shields Baldoni entirely. The legal path Blake needed, the clear forum to advance her case, simply doesn't exist. After reviewing months of filings, depositions, redactions, and courtroom maneuvers, the conclusion is unmistakable. Blake Livy didn't just lose a case, she lost control. Her entire strategy, accusations, filings, pressure campaigns, sudden attacks, crumbled the moment real evidence was presented. Judges rejected her arguments, witnesses contradicted her, and essential documents were missing, incomplete, or altered. Attempts to shift blame only redirected scrutiny back to her. In contrast, Justin Baldoni maintained his focus, professionalism, and composure. Every legal door that closed did so in Blake's face, leaving him untouched. The sequel she sought to suppress is intact. Her power moves exposed. The narrative she tried to control lies in ruins. The courtroom she sought to dominate is now inaccessible. Blake is trapped in a limbo of her own making, unable to refile, move forward, or escape the fallout from her failed strategy. Hollywood is buzzing, reporters are reporting, and fans are asking the same question. How did Blake Livy mismanage her career so drastically? The story is far from over. The next breakdown, document drop, and plot twist are coming, and the drama is just getting started.